welcome back. I'm trying a wide angle lens today because I think it gets more of me in frame. I have no idea how these things work. So if for whatever reason, like my hands coming close looks strange or something like that, you guys let me know. Shane conspiracy theory hands. Anyway, guys, today we are going to be trying the very much anticipated new Fenty, I just hit myself in the face with that, Fenty eyeshadow palette. This is the Moroccan Spice eyeshadow palette. I also got the new Pro Filter Amplifying Eye Primer, and I got some of the Gloss Bomb because I've just kind of wanted some of it. And we're also going to be trying this on camera today. Full disclosure, this is not a first impressions on this. This is the Light Wonder Youth Boosting Perfect Skin Foundation from Charlotte Tilbury. I just got it in the mail. I tried it yesterday and I want to use it on camera because I'm obsessed with it and it's gorgeous and I want you guys to see it because I think there are a lot of you out there like me who really value kind of a lightweight actual foundation and then like a look on top. So we're gonna go with this because it is like my brand new favorite lightweight dewy foundation. So without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and jump in here, get some makeup on my face, and hopefully the new lens situation is pleasing. I don't know. Okay, so I've already got skincare, primer, sunscreen on my face and whatnot. I ordered this in the shade 3 Fair, and this is for Daily Luminous Tint. Blend a small amount onto your skin from the nose outwards for a more flawless glowing finish. Pat on top of areas where extra coverage is needed. Shake before use. The best thing that I found about this foundation is that it is actually truly buildable. I think that a lot of these dewy foundations say that they're buildable, meaning that they're just kind of like low to medium coverage. Like you can build this up in spots and get a lot more coverage, which I was really, really pleased by. And it doesn't move around on me. It's a really nice shade match. This is just, it's such a gorgeous formula. It's got a little tiny bit, I think, of like, not shimmer, but it's got like a reflective quality to it. It kind of reminds me of the old like Prescriptives formulas. They all had just a little tiny bit of iridescence to them. Just like light reflection. Refraction? This is completely for me, the fact that we're trying Charlotte Tilbury, because this is not a new product by any means. I just have always wondered. I just wanted to know, and like look at that really pretty like luminosity that that gives you, and it just kind of blurs things without just completely masking them. Of course, we're gonna need a little extra concealer there. All right, I'm gonna go in with some of my Tarte Shape Tape, like you do. It's just because I lack imagination today. I have a lot of concealers, but this tends to be the one that's the best shade match for me. So it's the one I lean on. I don't necessarily like always love the way that the formula performs. Gonna be completely honest. Like it does a really good job of covering, but it also gets kind of dry and crepey underneath my eyes. It's like not my fave. So easy peasy lemon squeezy. Okay, I'm gonna go in with my Becca here real quick and I will just cut straight through this because you guys know it's the Hydro Mist Set and Refresh. And actually what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna come back in a second because we're just gonna be talking about eyes. So I wanna do the rest of my face real quick, and we will talk about eyes. Okay, so we are now ready to do my eyes. I've just done a little bit of face action here, a little bit of highlights and bronzer, whatnot. I'm loving just the really lightweight coverage that I'm getting from this foundation. Like, I probably will say it a lot in this video, but I just think that this is really beautiful. It's kind of my new favorite. Anyway, this is the new Fenty palette. It is called the Moroccan Spice palette, and you get 16 shades? Is that, am I counting that correctly? 16 shades. It's hard to know because it's not set up in a rectangle. It's set up kind of diagonally like this, and so you don't know how to, you know, how to count. So the thing that this is being kind of compared to recently is the Urban Decay Born to Run palette, which I believe is less expensive, and you guys, if you've been watching my channel, you know I'm really in love with this palette. It is not backing away from a challenge. Like, it is definitely a really cool all-in-one palette that's got tons of potential for different looks, very rock and roll, but you can also, I've been wearing it as a very everyday eyeshadow palette. If you compare them side by side, you can see that this has more greens in it, just has more shades in it. More greens and more oranges, so this kind of stays more to the blues and the reds and the purples, and it's got some really cool, let me see if I can kind of like macro this for you guys, but like in the pan, these champagne shades are like really, they've got some serious freaking duochrome going on. Like this gold shifts kind of like turquoise pink, and I don't know, it's just, it's gonna be really fun to play with. So without me jabbering on too much longer, let's go ahead and put this primer on my eyes and then we'll put the shadow on my eyes. So she did release a primer with the eyeshadow palette, and It is called Pro Filter, the same as her foundation, I believe. And this is what she looks like. It is in, you know, the gorgeous, very like low-key, minimalist Fenty packaging. It reminds me of like a Kanye collection or something. Just a really chill little doe foot applicator. There's not much pigment there. It's actually more just iridescent, which I think is really interesting because I opened it and I was like, oh, is this gonna be like a concealer? It's not. It's much more of like a luminizing opacity. So let's go ahead and put it on my eyeballs. It doesn't have tackiness to it, which I find interesting because I used the Luscious Cosmetics one last week and I loved how it just went immediately really tacky. It felt like, you know, hey, put something on top of me because I am sticky and ready to go. But I also like that this is pretty subtle on the eyes. You don't end up with that kind of concealer effect. Okie dokie, artichokes. Let's go ahead and get in here. So you got a little brush here, and of course we're going to start with just kind of a, you know, like a medium shade here. This is the shade Cumin Get It. Hilarious. She's a little bit dusty. Many palettes are, I just have to say it. Okay, so this primer is a primer. Awesome. Great job, Khaki. But what I'm saying is you lay that brush on there, y'all, and she sticks. Like, that is surprising because when you put it on, it feels kind of like a serum-y, lotion-y situation. It doesn't feel like it's going to be a very, like, tacky, effective eyeshadow primer. And it's like, grip. Look at that. It, like, grips the brush. That's insane. But it's, you know, making a mess. I might be using the wrong brush to lay this product down, but, you know, I can work my way out of pretty much anything. I'm gonna go into a fluffy brush because I feel like this is so grippy that the flat brush is like, it's catching too much friction. Going to go with this kind of like pinkier rose shade. It's called Spice Trip. Kind of go above that. Whoa. It's like it's too pigmented for its own good, especially with the primer. Okay, we gotta back away from this. Like, I have to do some serious damage control before this gets out of control. So I'm going to go in with the lightest shade like I do and try and bail myself out here. But I am a little weirded out because this is so shimmery and not very pigmented. So that's the lightest shade in the palette, and it shifts kind of what, you know, pink gold, pink silver. It's pearly, but it's pink. I'm kind of afraid that it's not gonna have enough pigment to, like I said, bail me out of my situation here. Because I was just trying, making it worse. I was just trying to lay down what I thought was going to be like a base layer. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, I'm panicking, I'm panicking! Oh no. Okay, come on. Alright, this is so, you know what it reminds me of? I don't know if you guys watched it, but I did that video a while back where I tried all of the makeup from ASOS, and I liked a lot of it, but they had this pot of glitter that had like this wax that you put on and then you put the glitter on top, and it was just a total fail. And this lightest shade of this eyeshadow reminds me of that pot, the way that it just like shifts aggressively. Like it has this really aggressive duochrome without having a lot of pigment. It's just like glitter. Not glitter, glitter. So yeah, that's how I'm feeling about this right now. And we've only used 3 colors. This pink is really, really pretty, and I kind of want to bring it into here. I like that shade, but you guys, it's like so pigmented, it gets me in trouble. I'm making such a mess. Oh, this is super frustrating. And I'm not great at makeup, but I'm not this bad. I've avoided watching any other beauty gurus videos on this palette because I wanted to form my own opinion of it, but I've definitely seen the thumbnails of like Jackie Aina grimacing, and I'm just like, oh, is this why? I'm not feeling as empowered as I was when I was trying the Urban Decay palette. Do you guys remember when I tried the Urban Decay palette and I was just like, oh oh my gosh, let's do this color. Oh my gosh, let's do this color, because it made it so easy. But this is like cautionary. Like every time I put a color on my eyes, I feel like it's just getting worse. I don't know how to really play it safe here. The first thing I want to do is throw like this duochrome on the lid. Oh my god. Wow. That's the duochrome. That's like that one that shifts. I like spit on my own face just now when I did that. I was like so excited. I'm gonna throw that on my lid and then try and kind of work my way back. Oh, girl. She should have just released this shade as a single. Like, are you kidding me? What the fart? That is like one of the coolest shades I've ever seen. I want to spread it all over my whole body. Okay, the shade is called Casablanca, but with the S as a dollar sign. Because, obviously. I feel like this shade could save everything. Not my look necessarily, but it's definitely like redeeming my opinion of where they were going with this palette, but it is definitely getting everywhere. That's because I'm applying with my fingers. So I'm gonna go with the champagne shade here, which is actually really gorgeous. It doesn't have any, well, it has a little bit of duochrome to it, but not like aggressively pink like this one. Like the light hits this in a certain way, and it goes from gold to pink, like a completely different color shift. So there's not a lot of mix there. This is a very usable, wearable champagne, I feel like. So let's put that here. Oh my god, I am making such a mess on my face right now. And now I'm gonna take the like little fluffy brush I've been using, and I'm going to take that same shade and I'm gonna kind of try and blend with it and see what happens, because it's really pretty. Like the shimmer shades are impressing me. I shouldn't even call them shimmer shades. They're like freaking like duochrome foil shades. All right, this is a dumpster fire. Like, we're gonna be honest here, like not necessarily the palette, but like the look I've created with it is kind of a dumpster fire. There's no really deep brown color, which is a little frustrating. Like, what am I supposed to use in my crease? Oh, I guess there is kind of. There's that one, the one that we, like, not the one we started with, but there's this one. I'll use that. See if I can get a little bit of depth here. Maybe go with like the purpley shade. It's kind of a cool tone purple in there. That's not bad. I actually like that. That's the shade. It's hard to navigate. Fez Up. And I like her. I like her in the crease, because it's a cool tone, and so it kind of blends right in there and looks just like a natural shadow, because that's what we're going for today. A natural look. I'm gonna use this cute little brush from Real Techniques. Gonna wet that little guy. And I'm gonna stick it in this gold shade right here that is called Desert Baked. Oh boy. Well, this palette has kind of made a fool of me. And there's really no way out. Like, every time I look for like a creamy shade that I can just use to, oh boy, I don't know, back out of this in some way so that I don't look like a drunk anime character. Like, there's just nothing there for it. So I'm like, I would want to go into like this gorgeous cerulean, because she's really, really pretty. I mean, we've already made enough of a mess. Like, why not, right? It's a good thing I'm not doing a wear test of this foundation today, because I cannot go out of the house with my eyes looking like this. Got my little wet brush here. Gonna go into that cerulean color because, you know, go horribly wrong or go home. Why did I do that? Okay, so that on a wet brush really doesn't apply as beautifully as I would have hoped. It's kind of underwhelming, honestly. I'm gonna bail myself out of this real quick using a different palette and some powder around my eyes, and then put some mascara on, and then we'll talk about lips for a second. I'll be right back. Okay, so I kind of bailed myself out with some of the lighter shades in the Urban Decay palette, and I did some mascara and some brows, and you guys, I just don't feel like this can be saved. It's just a really bad look, and honestly, if you are watching this for, like, this is my first video that you're watching and you're like, wow, she's just really not that good at makeup. I mean, it's kind of part of my brand that I'm not that good at makeup, because I want to use makeup products like someone at home would be using them and see if they work for someone who is not a trained makeup artist. I'm gonna tell you right now, this palette's frustrating. But let's go ahead and move on to the lips before I give kind of my final thoughts here. So this is not new. This is her universal gloss that she put out a long time ago, and it's called Fenty Glow Gloss Bomb. And I was actually really excited to do a really bold eye and then have like a really subtle nude lip and have this really great kind of like dewy complexion look. Oh boy, the road to hell paved with good intentions. So just gonna put this on by itself and see what happens. It smells kind of fruity, like in a weird way. Not bad, just weird. Yeah, it smells like apples. Like not what I was expecting. But I love the giant doe foot on it, and I love the shade. It's really, really pretty. It doesn't really seem to have any like a plumping feeling to it or anything, at least not yet, but it's pretty. I like it. I do think it's a really, really pretty color. All right, y'all, so this is the final look that I was able to achieve, for better or for worse, with the new Fenty palette. Here are my thoughts. So I think that there are some good things happening here. Obviously her packaging is beautiful. Obviously there was a lot of interesting thought that went into putting these shades in here to not be just a Me Too glowy beachy rose gold palette. I commend her for that. This shade right here, Casablanca, the one that I have on my eyelids, is one of the prettiest shades I have ever seen. It is giving me life. Like, it is so unbelievably great. But that cannot outweigh the weaknesses of this palette. And I also want to talk about the primer. Where did it go? The primer is so tacky that the brush gripped so hard that really there was like, it was like quicksand. There was just no getting out of it once it started happening, and it really, I think that the dumpster fire started here. Very surprising, because it seemed very subtle and non-committal at first, but there's something about that where once it kind of dries down a little bit, it gets so tacky and so like frictiony that you touch the brush to it and it literally drags your eye. So it's like you can't get a good blend out of the gate with it. That said, I'm not sure I could have gotten a good blend with this regardless. This color that I started with, this really pretty kind of tan shade, it's super, super like matte, bold, and there's really not a lot of blendability there. I think that the mattes are where you get in trouble in this palette, is because they don't have that creamy blendability that usually comes along with a dusty palette. You know, usually if you're working with a palette and it kind of dusts off the brush like an ABH palette, or like that Melt palette that we worked with last week, at least that translates into like really easy, creamy blendability. This didn't do that. It just kept getting worse. So I also think that this being the lightest shade in the palette does no one any favors. This is not a shade that really complements anyone's skin tone. It's like an ice pink kind of color, and it doesn't have any real like pigment punch to it, and so when it actually goes on the skin, it kind of comes off like Claire's body glitter. It doesn't come off like a really nice creamy white eyeshadow, and the fact that it can't really help you out in terms of kind of bringing more light to your look, it just is like glitter, glitter, glitter. It's not doing anybody any favors. So this palette, it's a really hard pass. I'm sorry, I really hate being super negative, but especially if we're talking about this in the context of everything else that's coming out right now, a lot of times when I have a streak of really loving all the makeup that I'm trying, I wonder if I have job stability. You know, I'm like, does my job serve a purpose reviewing makeup products? Because I'm like, you know, everybody's kind of got their stuff figured out now. Like, all these eyeshadow palettes are so great. Everything's just like a really great product and everything's just really beautiful. Like, what's the point in me reviewing all this stuff? And then stuff comes out that is really hyped and I try it and it's really hard to work with and I'm like, oh, I'm reminded there's a reason that my job exists, and that is because this is an extremely hyped product. It is not an inexpensive product, and I would definitely not recommend you buying it, because if you are not a makeup artist, if you are not a person who is willing to put in a lot of effort to make something work, and you just want it to work for you, especially first thing in the morning when you're up doing your makeup, this is not a user-friendly palette. It is not a palette where somebody is going to just dip a brush in and feel like they're kind of automatically really good at doing makeup. Those are the kinds of products that I appreciate, are the ones that make me feel like I'm better at doing makeup than I am. That's what the Urban Decay palette does to me. Because you look at that palette and it's a really intimidating array of colors. Like, you look at that and it is a broad spectrum of potentially really scary things, but once you start dipping into it, it becomes very easy and it makes you a lot more confident in using those bright colors. This does, unfortunately. I'm sorry. If you love this palette, I would love to know how you got it to work, but this just did not work for me, and it is just not, I don't think, worth it. It's not worth all the hype. So that said, I do really like this. I think it's pretty, but it does feel really heavy on my mouth, and it doesn't have any real plumping qualities to it, but I think that the shade is really unique and interesting. I'm gonna keep wearing it, see if it kind of finds a place in my routine. I am a gloss girl, that's why I bought this, and I do think that it's really pretty. So guys, as far as my first foray into a full Fenty look, that was a lot of alliteration. Proud that I got that all out in one try. I hope that you guys appreciate my honest feedback on this and this really ugly eye look, and I'm really sorry that it's so ugly. And if you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, and that's your truth, give it a thumbs down. That's fine. If you guys want to keep hanging out with me on this channel, go ahead and hit the button down below and subscribe. I would love it if you did. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!